And as we continue to breathe in, we are breathing in the breath of life. We are breathing in the divine, who is the creator of all creation. Breathing in, through, and as each one of us. We are all a unique expression of the divine. And it is this connection, deeper, widening connection of the divine in each and every one of us that brings us together in our spiritual community, whether in person, on Zoom, or on YouTube. It's what calls us here. As we breathe in and settle, for it is divine that called us here today to listen to the message of Reverend Patricia Van Workum, for it is a message of the divine expressing in, through, and as who she is, as happiness, as joy. And we're going to just breathe into this and settle and open our minds and our hearts to hear the words, knowing that we will hear exactly what we came here today to hear, and knowing that it will resonate with that divine center within each and every one of us. So I am so thankful for being here to be able to listen to this beautiful message. I am so grateful for all those that are put the time in behind the scenes and the production team that comes together and practices and rehearses to make sure that everything unfolds so perfectly. And from this place of gratitude, we say, so it is. Rediscover the youthful spirit of that childlike joy which gave to us the energy, happiness, security, and faith we had as children. Ernest Holmes, Help for Today. Help for Today, I love that. As soon as you honor the present moment, all unhappiness and struggle dissolve, and life begins to flow with joy and ease. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. In addition to creating happiness in our lives, cultivate the spiritual practices that lead to joyfulness, especially gratitude. We need to live from a place of gratitude and joy. Brené Brown, The Gifts of Imperfection. Oh, and now I get the honor of introducing Doug Van Workum. Now, Doug has been performing his original poetry, which we are privileged to hear today. By the way, it's one of my favorites of his. And the poetry of Rumi and Hafiz. He's been doing this and performing it for 20 years. And when in person, his poetry is accompanied by drumming. So I love it. He's a regular performing artist at our center. We claim him as one of our own. Yeah, we do. And today we're getting an original work of art. So please welcome Doug Van Workum.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I see we're still having some trouble with our camera.
Yeah.
Please bear with us and know that all our senses are involved, sometimes one more than other. So listen with the ears of your heart to the service today. This is called Always at Choice. This life was here before before eternity began, and will remain when forever winds down. Friends, it may take me 3 classes, 3 decades, or 3 lifetimes. I can't really say. All I know is I am here to learn. I am always at choice. We know now, don't we, that all prayer must include what's best for everyone at all, everyone involved. Otherwise, how can we enjoy a meal while others at our table go hungry? So let's all pray together. And remember, we are always at choice. Tell me, why should we struggle so hard to reach those higher realms of learning when everything we need is all around us and within our own grasp? God, if we learn just one thing in this life, let it be that we are always at choice. When the acrobat swings out over the crowd and lets go her flying trapeze, she bets her entire life on knowing right where the next swing will be. My life swings somewhere between 2 great spiraling towers. The one is of my own free will, and the other is of God's amazing grace. Friends, what I'm really trying to say here is, I am always at choice. It's true, the awakened mind can set the powerful horses of intention thundering across the open prairies of the heart. But none of that matters if we forget we are always at choice. So what if the poor person wins the lottery? So what if the rich one gains enlightenment with their last dime spent? None of that really matters if they forget they were always at choice. Praise God. I am finally learning now how to dance between those 2 great pounding hammers of life and of death. I may live forever, or I may die tonight. But none of that really matters if I forget I'm always at choice. So let's set a most welcoming table and prepare the most beautiful meal. Let's spread these ideas out before us like plates of warm and nourishing food. And never forget, life always tastes so much better when we remember we are always at choice. Friends, help me now. I don't know if I should end this poem right here now or not. Oh wait, I just remembered. I'm always at choice.
Thank you so much, Doug. Back again. The annual theme, I just love it, living everyday wonder. And this month, we're talking about emotions. So are we happy yet?
Yes.
Does anybody care about anything other than being happy?
Well,
Okay. Emotions are really tricksy, as they say. Reverend Sharon's been talking about the difference between emotions and feelings, and it can be really confusing because the language we use it's all convoluted and we keep using the same word in multiple ways. So technically, emotions are associated with bodily reactions that are activated through neurotransmitters and hormones released by the brain. Okay? Feelings are the conscious experience of those physical reactions. In plain language, emotions are the raw data. It's a physical reaction to the present reality. They are here and now. Feelings are related, but they are experienced through the stories that we've created in our heads based on events in the past, fears of the future, They're not necessarily related to what's actually going on here and now. Okay? So emotions are visceral, and feelings are cognitive. One analogy I found that I really liked is our emotions are like the engine of a car, and our feelings are like the frame. And that's where it gets really tricky, because we're given the engine without an owner's manual, okay? And then we build the frame of the car from our experiences. We build from what we learn and what we're taught in the world. And emotions literally move us, and feelings are our interpretations. One example is anger, which I think we would all accept as a primary emotion. Anger is highly motivating. It is a powerful engine, and we create and label a lot of feelings from that original physical response. We are furious, outraged, livid, resentful, indignant, and we can generally say precisely what it is about the situation that makes us feel that way. The emotion of anger, however, has no words. It is a physical response that we interpret and give it a name and a meaning. Again, feelings are learned responses to our reactions to raw data, and when we then use language to label them. So part of the trickiness of emotions is how we label our experience. Most of you are probably familiar with the poster or the t-shirt that has the list of feelings on it. There's a feelings wheel, I do all kinds of stuff. It's columns and rows, hundreds of shades of meaning. There's one website that lists 271 feelings. Okay? I don't think I'm that precise, but other people are more skilled in this area. If you're interested, you might want to go to the Nonviolent Communication, the NVC website, for two very helpful lists. It's those feelings when our needs are met, and those feelings when our needs are not met. And just those two categorization, splitting those into those two categories really reinforces that feelings are learned. Okay? And how my interpretation of my experience will not be the same as your interpretation of the same experience. And if the arena of feelings wasn't confusing enough, it would be helpful if we could identify and name those core primary emotions. However, it's not clear either. Science says, social research, that there are somewhere between 4 and 27 primary emotions. And the range probably has much to do with how they define their terms as to whether they're dealing with very young children or adults. For today, I've picked the one list that has been a long-time standard. During the 1970s, psychologist Paul Ekman identified 6 basic emotions that he suggested were universally experienced in all human cultures. They're anger, fear, sadness, happiness, surprise, and disgust. Now, I have a degree in early childhood education. And way back in the old days, we were taught there are only 4 basic emotions: mad, bad, glad, and sad. Okay? Mad is anger, bad is fear, sad is sadness, and glad is happiness. So those match. Add an infant's basic startle response, and you have surprise. And then disgust is a good enough word for, do you remember when you were feeding a child and they didn't like the first taste or texture, and all of a sudden their tongue came out and they started making faces? That's disgust. Okay? And it's real easy and it's real obvious, and it's obviously physically based. Okay? So no words are needed. And with infants, no words are needed. You generally know whether they feel anger, fear, sadness, happiness,
surprise, or disgust. Okay? So I'm okay with those as our basic emotions, those 6. I don't need all 27. All of them are untrained, natural, physiological responses to the world, reactions to the raw data, as the definition stated. Everything else beyond that is a learned response. It's a label and a meaning we assign to the emotion that has no words, that we experience based on the circumstances. Now, much of what we teach in this center has to do with accepting our emotional responses as real and valid. Okay? When you feel fear, you feel fear. And see that word feel gets in there, it's like we label it. But when you have that experience of fear, no one has the right to say, oh no, you can't be afraid of that. You are. It's obvious. Your body's reacting, okay? And while those emotional responses motivate our feelings and behaviors, they're not the same. So what we do is we work at separating those out. Paying attention to our feelings and behaviors, recognize their learned responses that we have developed, and we can identify the belief system that keeps those responses active, keeps them in the loop. This is especially important for us when the beliefs and responses are not working for us. Ever been in a situation where you're passionately describing your responses based on your belief system, and someone, generally a therapist type, says, so, how's that working for you? Yeah, you know that one. And you suddenly realize that I suddenly realized that it was my response that was creating the issue, not the situation. Those have been great wake-up calls, and they are great wake-up calls. Being aware of our feelings and the words that we use can give us great insight, and this is good, solid, spiritual living work. But there's more. We also teach what Judge Troward calls the 7 generic qualities of God. Generic in the sense that there's a basic essence, and we take that essence and personalize it. And they are life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy. These qualities are frequently the core of our Christmas candle lighting service, so you get to hear them at least every other year. Within the context of today's talk, if you like, you can think of those 7 qualities as God's emotions, Spirit's emotions. They are God's primary and innate ways of responding. They are raw data, not learned responses. So let me walk you through them. Life is a word for God or Spirit. It is the original creative principle. Life simply is its essence. It has created all and continues to co-create all with and through us. Love is the sustaining and maintaining of that which Spirit created, that which life creates. It's that quality of the universe that always says yes. It always supports growth. Love is always present. We don't create love. We don't learn love. We don't learn that spiritual essence, that quality. It is universal. It's a principle that is true for all. Light is the infinite variety of options, infinite ways of expressing life, and power is our ability to choose how to express any option and when. Peace is the underlying state of unity because there's only one life expressing as infinite variety. There's no conflict in oneness. Beauty is that sense of harmony and balance that exists because all the variety of life exists in a unity of diversity. And finally, there's joy. Joy to me is the culmination of that entire unfolding process. Joy is the result of the divine creative process. So what I'm also saying is that love, peace, and joy are not emotions. At least they're not our emotions. They are not physiological reactions or responses to the world. They are expressions of the essential nature of God. Let me say that again. Emotions are neurological and hormonal physical responses to something, to stimuli, if you want to be technical. Love, peace, and joy are God qualities that existed before you and I and our parents and their parents and their parents existed. They flow through us and are available always to us because we partake of the divine nature. They are ours to discover, experience, and use. Love, peace, and joy are there for us to discover, experience, and use. They are independent of anything that is happening or not happening in the material world. They're independent, have nothing to do with that. Before I get all mystical on you, let's do a comparison of happiness, which is an emotion, and joy. Happiness is always in response to something in our environment. You're using the language of nonviolent communication. Happiness is something that occurs in us when our needs are met. It's fleeting because our needs change, and our needs are not always met. Throw in the confusion as to whether what we need is really a need or just a want, and how many layers of social and cultural conditioning have shaped both our needs and wants. It's like living with a ping pong ball. Are we happy yet? Are we still happy? Do we need everything we have to be happy? Do we need more? Do we need less? Happiness is always a physical reaction, an emotion, that we assign a meaning to based on what we think it means and label it as a feeling. This is one of the reasons I hate shopping for anything other than food. There are too many choices that have absolutely no meaning for me. Okay, I need clothes. I need clothes that are comfortable. But how can anyone keep up with fashion? It changes with the seasons, it changes with the locality, it changes with social class, and it changes with age. If fashion was a major driver in my life, a clearly socially learned driver, I will always be reacting to other people's opinions and behaviors, or trying to influence other people's behavior and opinions. This is the realm of happiness, that reactivity. And the same can be said of almost anything in the world. Politics, formal religion, social class. Do I believe in the right things? Is it important that someone can tell who I am by what I own or what I do? Does my happiness depend on your opinion of me? What do I need to hide so that you approve of me? This is the foundation of happiness. Am I happy yet? Are you happy yet? Are you still happy? Joy is something very different. One of my mother's favorite phrases when I was growing up and not behaving the way she wished I was is, "What will people think?" Always said in a particularly horrified tone of voice. At the time, my general response was, "Who cares?" But I'm human. I did care. Not about what her friends thought about me, but what my peer group thought of me. And it's still important to me that my family and my friends think well of me, that you see me as I want to be seen, as honorable and competent, good-hearted, acting with good intentions, even if my behavior is sometimes at odds with that. What is important to me is whether I am acting in accordance to my values. Am I living in integrity with myself? Your opinions then become feedback for me to use to assess myself. They are not drivers of my happiness. Okay? I'm being inner directed, not bounced on the waves out there. My analogy, it's as if the outer material world of status and popularity and style are waves in the ocean, and I no longer choose to be bounced about by those random waves. I have discovered a current of joy beneath the surface of the ocean that I can sink into and let it carry me. And that current is always there because I didn't create it. It doesn't respond to whatever happens in the world. It's just always there. So when I get caught up and realize I'm bouncing in the highs and lows of the waves, and please note I said when, not if, because we all do this, it's now pretty easy to let go and fall back into that underlying flow of joy. Have you watched a young child recently? One that's simply in the moment exploring the world. You can see their passion and their joy or their freedom and their excitement, even if it's just filling different containers with water or sand. Over and over, Jesus says in the New Testament that we must become as children, innocent and vulnerable. Innocent in that we do not judge ourselves by learned social standards. That's where feelings come in. Feelings are learned social standards, basically. And vulnerable, meaning that we are open to our own experience of joy. Most children lose this capacity for joy by puberty.
By what? Excuse me?
By puberty. We get hurt when others try to shape and guilt and shame us into what they think would make us happy. We lose our innocence. We become too busy watching others to see if they are watching us. We become hyper self-conscious. We become scared of showing too much enthusiasm. Did you know the word enthusiasm? The origin of that word is to be inspired or possessed by God. Enthusiasm is supposed to make us a little crazy. We're supposed to stand out. We have been fired up about something. Okay. And how much, you see, this is especially in teenagers, is they're being cool. They're not going to show enthusiasm or excitement about anything. It seems a large part of spiritual growth is recovering that lost innocence. Robert Johnson, a wonderful Jungian author and analyst, says that we move from unconscious perfection. Think infants, we are born into unconscious perfection. And then we move to conscious imperfection. Think puberty and early adulthood. But the goal of spiritual life is for conscious perfection. We are made in the image and likeness of God. It is who we truly are. And it is the gift left inside for us to discover and own. We must consciously and deliberately claim our spiritual perfection and know that this is true for all. This is the meaning of heaven on earth. This is the kingdom of God. And this is the joy that is available in every moment. Pharrell Williams has a song that I love. It'll also be our closing song, so you'll get to hear it. And he uses the word happiness. But I want you, when you hear the song, to translate that in your mind to joy. Because joy is what he's describing. And if it's been a while since you've had an experience of pure joy and not the limited happiness, I'm going to give you the chorus and my interpretation of the chorus. So the chorus goes, clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Clap along if you feel that's what you want to do. Joy feels like a room without a roof. There's no limit. It is open and free. It is unbounded. Okay? Joy feels like the truth. There's an authenticity to joy. It's not manufactured, and it's not dependent on anything. Like truth, it just is. Do you know what joy is to you? Joy is your individualized experience of God's joy, of that essence. So it is personal to you and based on your individuality and your passions and what in life excites you. I'm in my joy when I'm cooking. I'm in my joy when I'm prepping for a class or a talk. When I'm close with family and friends and playing rummy ties. When are you in joy? Do you know when you are in joy? What your joy is? If not, it's a great place to look. Is joy what you want to do? Is happiness enough for you? Or do you want joy? Joy's a risk. It's getting your head up above the crowd. It's letting enthusiasm move through you. Do you want joy? Joy is a choice, and it requires spiritual growth and maturity. I found a wonderful teaching story this week. A big dog saw a puppy chasing its tail and asked, "Why are you chasing your tail that way?" And the puppy says, "I have studied philosophy and solved the problems of the universe which no other dog before me has solved. And I have found out that the best thing for a dog in life is happiness. And that happiness is in my tail. And that is why I'm chasing it. And when I catch it, I will reach happiness." "Son," the big dog said, "in my young days, I was also interested in the questions of the universe. I also thought that happiness is in the tail, and in the beginning, I was also chasing it. But later, I noticed that wherever I go, and whatever I do, the tail was following behind me. And then I understood that I don't need to chase it." Happiness does need to be chased because it's a movable, changeable target. But joy, like the dog's tail, is always present. It belongs to you. It's an undeniable part of who you are. And the whole point of spiritual practice, prayer, study, meditation, it's all about waking up and noticing the conflicting and continually changing expectations and demands of our culture, and breaking through that to the changeless eternal. To let the waves of happiness be present, but to live in the flow of joy, in the flow of love, in the flow of peace. I'm going to leave you with two very simple practices that can help you transition from happiness to joy. Affirmations and gratitude. This should come as no surprise. We talk about these all the time. Okay. Affirmations can remind you of your options when you're being tossed and tumbled in the waves of life. Like today's affirmation builds on Doug's poem at the beginning of the talk. Since we always have the power of choice, therefore, I can always choose joy. Okay? Affirmations are a basic mental discipline and a solid spiritual practice. There are lots of great books on affirmations, and we teach you how to create your own in almost every class we teach. Gratitude. It's an amazing and simple practice that opens the heart to joy. Look for the good. Notice it. Praise it out loud when you can. It can be as simple as the sun shining through the leaves of a tree or the wind. Nature provides us so much to inspire gratitude, and it's always at hand. Look at the beauty and the variety of the faces of the people in our lives. Watch for the loving and playful interactions with children or between couples, whether they're newly in love or just old comfort. You can feel that old comfort. Start a gratitude box or a jar. You can even decorate it if you want it. Write down what you are grateful for on strips of paper and put them in the box or jar. Use anything that has moved you, like someone's particularly thoughtful comment or an unexpected kindness. Be sure to do it when it happens so you don't forget. It's amazing how we so easily forget the good things and remember the not so good ones. So look for the good, capture it, and you can use these as starters to prime the pump. Some days are simply darker than others. Life has ups and downs and challenges. This is like saving sunshine for a rainy day. It's your own bank to go to. So to sum today's talk, emotions simply are. Feelings are learned responses and so can be influenced and changed. Our behavior rests on these learned responses and so can also be changed and influenced. Happiness is an emotion that is the engine behind a range of feelings, mostly based on whether our needs and wants are met or not. Happiness is a constantly changing state. Joy is a changeless and always present quality. It is part of the essential nature of spirit, of God, and all that is and has ever been. Joy is a spiritual state ready to be discovered and claimed by all. It's a gift of grace, given before space and time, given at the very beginning. And in this awareness of joy, please join me in prayer. You can close your eyes if you like. In this moment, there is only the one presence, the presence of life, and the presence of love. And it moves through me as it moves through you, because we are the outpicturing of that one life. Fractured like in a prism of glass, into individualized spots of beauty, of joy. That it is the one central life-giving source that is our identity. And within that, there is always perfect harmony that moves through our relationships in right and wonderful ways. It is always that unity of right and that is expressed as right order and right timing is always in our affairs, financial, career. That vibrant life is always in our bodies, in every single cell, remembering and waiting to be revealed as the perfect wholeness and health that we are. And the fact that I don't have to create any of this. Life, love, light, power, peace, beauty, and joy are gifts. They are given. And with great gratitude, I accept these gifts. And I place my choice into the law, which always says yes. And so it is. Now, we get to hear from God again.
So this poem is a poem by Hafiz, a 14th century Sufi mystical poet who is well known for having quite a sense of humor. And in fact, it could be so bawdy at times he was forced to leave his home. Until things calmed down, then he could return. But behind all the humor was a very deep message. This is called To Build a Swing. It's short, I will share it twice. You carry all the ingredients to turn your life into a nightmare. Don't mix them. You have all the genius you need to build a swing in your backyard for God. Now that sounds like a hell of a lot more fun. So let's start laughing, drawing up blueprints, gathering together our talented friends. I will help you with my divine lyre and drum. And Hafiz will sing 1,000 words that you can take into your hands like golden saws, silver hammers, polished teak wood, and strong silk rope. You carry all the ingredients to turn your existence into joy. Mix them. Mix them. You carry all the ingredients to turn your life into a nightmare. Is this true? Don't mix them. You have all the genius you need to build a swing in your backyard to God. Now that sounds like a hell of a lot more fun. So let's start laughing, drawing up blueprints, gathering together our talented friends. And I will help you with my divine lyre and drum. And Hafiz will sing 1,000 words that you can take into your hands like golden saws and silver hammers, polished teak wood and strong silk rope. You carry all the ingredients to turn your existence into joy. Mix them. Mix them.
It's one of my very favorite poems. What we're doing now is the time for our offering. Much like the flow of life, the flow of abundance comes through us. Doesn't that right?
No apologies. Too many things right now. There we are.
Such is life, doing all kinds of things all at the same time. But we're giving you the opportunity to give back to us. But it really is a giving to yourself, to give to your own growth, to give to what inspires you. Hopefully we have inspired you. I know I went on and on and on this morning, but
It was inspiring.
sometimes we're shorter than others. But hopefully, you've got something that you can take that will make your life easier, make it make more sense, encourage that growth that we all are looking for, that we're travelers together in. So please give generously to support our caravan to God. And while Carol passes the basket inside, you can send a personal check to our P.O. Box in North Highlands, or you can also give through our website through PayPal or Square. So lots of opportunities. First rule of a nonprofit is never, never turn down money. Okay? And we are a nonprofit. Okay. So remain muted as we are, if you're on Zoom, as we do our abundance affirmation. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as a never-expanding infinite good, and so it is. Ever-expanding infinite good. Announcements. Prayer requests. You can also give us prayer requests, and you can do it online or on Sunday morning. You can talk to any of the practitioners. You get a freebie 5-minute quick pick-me-up treatment if you're interested. But if you put in a request through the website, the practitioners will work on it for the full week. There is a meeting today for, oops. Well, that's fine. A reminder that we meet live first, third, and fifth Sundays and on Zoom only on the 2nd and 4th. So you have options first, third, and fifth, but I'd really like to put a plug in. There's something about coming together now that we can and having that face-to-face energetic relationship that just Zoom's wonderful. I mean, we've worked on it for 2 years. It's just fabulous, but it's not the same as being with each other. So join us, please. The Outreach Committee is meeting today to talk about our current event, which is to support women's empowerment, because empowered women equal healthy babies, and that works well for Mother's Day. And we are supporting that organization. So if you want to know more, please talk to Linda Connolly. Oh, May is also Mental Health Month. I had forgotten that. So absolutely, empowering women is the best way to increase mental health in them, and everyone knows that research says that as you empower women, the health of the family increases, so the health of the community increases. It's one of those best places to put your lever so that you can move the world, to empower women. The meeting is here for the committee, and Linda...
We're going to meet at Panera.
Oh, they're going to Panera, so talk to Linda, she'll tell you about where they're going. Weekly affirmation. I can always choose joy. That's a gift we give you to take this week. So now I'm going to let Linda come up and do our benediction.
Okay. So as we close this service today, connecting to the joy, discovering that joy that is always within each and every one of us. That happiness is external, but joy is always accessible within us. It's from this place of joy we will go out today, this week, for the rest, every day, remembering that we are always at choice, and from that place of choice, we come with gratitude and connect to joy. And we anchor this by saying, and so it is.